jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Good morning, everyone. WCS back on the boulevard once again. Happy Monday to everyone. Those of you that's on the road going to work, jumpstarting your week. God bless y'all. You know what I'm saying? Going out there to provide for yourself and those who may depend on you. You feel me? This is one of those weeks in your life that's quite different than the rest. You know what I'm saying? The ones that you experience up to this point. May not so much in your personal life, but when it comes to being a boxing fanatic enthusiast, it's different. This Monday is different from every other Monday that you ever had in life. You know what I'm saying? It just is. Because we're on the eve of one of the greatest boxing matches in the sport. One of the biggest. So therefore, before I get cooking, I got to give a big shout out to the supporters of WCS as always. Thank you for your support. And the first in the building is Samad Warren on deck. Peace and blessings below. Salute WCS certified. Stamp the like button. Appreciate you, big dog. Toby Bartlett from across the pond. We're global. Salute WCS and that we're global, baby. We're global. Yes, sir. It's always good. Not just to be local, but also global. You heard it here first. You understand me? You know what I'm saying? Hey, big shout out to the ones who's already on deck. I always appreciate the ones who show up. Now, this isn't what you usually think it is. You know what I'm saying? I didn't write shit down. I just want to kind of, put it out there for what it is. This right here, this Monday is special. This Monday is extra special. It's the type of Monday that if you've been on the fence, you haven't been quite sure of who you supporting, or just say you're a Crawford supporter or a fan of Crawford, or someone who just have vested interest in how he is as a fighter, right? This Monday right here, apart from all the rest of the Mondays with all the, the speculation, the assumptions, you know what I'm saying? The false narratives, the biasness, the good positive energy, the vibes. We can't never forget that. You know what I'm saying? This is the Monday before we actually be able to see both of these guys in the same room at the same time, opposite of what we've seen them in the viral video of when they was actually talking about fighting each other. Well, one of them was actually talking about fighting one, and that was Crawford. Crawford more so wanted to fight Spence than Spence wanted to fight Crawford. And we already know what was said and how it played out. And that's why we at where we at. So with that said, from that moment several years ago, from here, Crawford is finally, you know, crossed to that point. He's extremely close to being in the room with Spence once again, to the point where it matters for the both of them. And first time it mattered for the both of them because, like I said, the video went viral. It gave people to take a look at who these fighters were and what the conversation was going to be. I can't tell you how many times people have referred to that clip. You know what I'm saying? So many people, so many content creators, just so many individuals in general have referred to that one clip. That one freaking clip. Don Vaughn on deck. What's good? King Mitch on deck. What's good? Salute. Ain't on deck. So many people have pretty much referred to that one clip repeatedly, time and time again. And with that one clip, they have been left in isolation trying to figure out when this fight is going to happen over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We never quite knew. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't really track it because the fight, in the public, in sidebar conversations, people was like guessing when it was going to happen. But now it's on the radar. When that shit came on the radar, you know what I'm saying? When it came on the radar for real, like we knew this was it on the radar. I'm talking about 2023. I'm not talking about the bogus, false claims that was made in 22. And the fight was never close to happening. We're talking about when it came on the radar in 23. This Monday right here, man, this is the last Monday that we have to worry about of speculating, guessing, sitting up here having conversations about the what ifs. When is it? If it's going to even play out, contracts and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? This Monday right here, it's the last one. We're finally on deck. We have the first press conference going down tomorrow. The first press conference, people. Well, Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. would get to speak to the public. And, to be honest, we don't know what to expect from them guys. We don't know, what their response is going to be, what the energy is going to be. Like they talk about Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. The first one was okay, primarily due to Ryan Garcia, complaining and stuff like that. But, the one in LA, they turned up a little bit. With this one, you have totally two different fighters. Both of these guys, equally in the welterweight division, are accredited with being the best in their division. And also both of them have, like I always mention, held resident in the pound for pound rankings. They are legitimately qualified. Both of them are equally qualified for this fight. That's why people don't know who's what. You know what I'm saying? People saying it's 50-50. They trying to break down who's going to do what to who. They want to know what the contractual details are. They want to know what the percentage breakdown is. They want to know all the business about this because the backstory is that you had so many people believing that they was a part of the negotiation that they start to just create false, characters. They wanted to pretend like they was Al Heyman for a day. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to pretend like they was representation for Terrence Crawford. They just want to be somebody that's in the storyline that can come back to the YTC and say, my sources have told me. Who's your sources? My imagination. So everybody was going like, yeah, I know this. You know what I'm saying? I know that about what's going on. I know this. And so many times they was wrong. Even the people who put out the date was going to be announced July 22nd. I find that as the last, that was the final line of departure for me. When the news broke on Ring and said it was July 22nd and it was wrong, It's almost like that was the final line of fakery. That was the final line of false information at the end of the day, because the next one came out, July 29th, and that caught on like any other date. Everybody was putting out this date. Everybody. So now we finally had a date that we can confirm and solidify, and we can lock that in, bookmark it, that this was the date that the fight was happening. You know what I'm saying? July 22nd was the line of departure. That was a final false, fake date given for this fight. Now July 29th is here. And I swear to God, it's probably been mentioned a million freaking times. I think I've mentioned it thousands already. You know what I'm saying? Let me do 1001, July 29th. The fight is finally here. And the first press conference is going down. And there's a lot of questions people want answers to. But this is my point for doing this live. Heavy is head who wears the crown, and that is Terrence Crawford. It's up to him to prove everyone right, that he is the baddest man in boxing. He is the pound for pound best. And, however they put Errol Spence up against him, it's not the way you've been seeing it. It's not the way that you tried to break it down. It's nowhere close. Like when it comes to Crawford has this like this dark side to him where people really don't know what's there. Like they'll sit up here and give you everything that they seen, right? This is what they'll say about Crawford. They say, okay, he's a switch hitter. And then time somebody say, he's a switch hitter, you'll hear people try to downplay it as if it don't mean anything in combat. You know what I'm saying? They'll quickly try to say, oh, that don't mean shit, only because that's something that comes up first with Crawford when it comes to his skill set. Everything else after that, no one can give you predictability when it comes to Crawford. No one can give you predictability. That's the wild part about who he is as a boxer. A lot of people can tell you what he's done in fights, but when it comes to this conversation, the only thing that quickly comes out the box, people say he's a switch hitter. And then the naysayers, they hurry, that don't mean anything. And then the ones who really look at boxing, they say, okay, it's good to be able to switch stances and give your opponent a different look. Then people give a graded effort on how much, productivity does he get from fighting orthodox? How much productivity is it when he fights southpaw? It's always the topic of the conversation. But one thing for sure, that people don't start their conversations when it comes to him throwing punches and how he throws punches. It's no predictability. Everybody will probably talk about Crawford differently. That's true words. They'll tell you what he do in a fight, but they don't have the predictability. Let me explain to you what I mean. When it comes to Spence, and we're talking about skill set, what do they say? What do they say? Oh, educated jab. What do they say? Forward pressure. What do they say? Punch output. Those are the three things right there. Jab, forward pressure, punch output. Within those three, they will tell you what they believe is going to happen to his opponent based off the same thing I say for Crawford, what they've seen in his fights prior to. They will sit up here and look at whatever fight they choose to give them the most leverage in proving their point. They would go to Danny Garcia, or they may go to Lamont Peterson. They might even bring in Chris Algieri. They'll throw in Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Yadinas Ugas, even Mikey Garcia. They'll just throw those fights around, and they'll pick and choose what they want out of it. Everybody know Mikey Garcia fight was different than Sean Porter fight. But a lot of people would say Sean Porter is much better than Mikey Garcia, right? He hasn't been able to achieved more than Mikey Garcia, but a lot of people say, okay, Sean Porter, I looked at him to beat Mikey Garcia if they was to fight back then. But then you take a look at Sean Porter, facing a knockdown in the 11th round, and Mikey Garcia, he didn't face any knockdowns. It didn't even look like he faced any adversity, period. So styles make fights, right? But they pick and choose which one to boost up and use the leverage on to say, okay, this fighter is this, in order to prove a skill set. Lately, we've been talking about a guy who was supposed to be this. This body puncher. He used to go to the body a lot, right? He went from being a body puncher, breaking his opponents up, to now fighting two fighters and they say eye collector. Okay. It's funny how that all plays out. Real talk. Check this out. It's funny how all that plays out when his eye was collected too by somebody, whenever they did it, sparring partner, whatever. His eye was collected too. It's funny how they would say the nuance is Danny Garcia, look at his eye. Yardenas Ugas, look at his eye. Now he's become, they tagged him with another name as being the eye collector. With that said, you have predictability when it comes to Errol Spence skill set and how he carries out his punishment, his offensive strategy as a fighter, right? And then you have Bud Crawford, who no one really starts with him the same when it comes to skill set. Like the stances is just a frame on what people believe he's gonna do. It was someone who said he barely stays in the orthodox stance. He don't stay in more than one round, which was absolutely incorrect. But they always, frame Bud Crawford as being a switch stance fighter. You know what I'm saying? But everything that comes after that is what people are curious about, especially when it comes to him fighting Errol Spence. They can't just give a predictability on how Bud Crawford and what he's going to do once the bell ring for him and Errol. They know Errol, they're going to say immediately, he's going to come out with his jab. He's going to put pressure. That's all they say, pressure. We got people up here talking about pressure burst pipes. Okay. And the reason why people are believing that is because they're looking at opponents that they believe he broke down, and they visibly wore the fight on their face, i.e. Danny Garcia and Yardenas Ugas. So they have evidence out there. With that evidence, we have to look at it this way too. One thing I've heard, when it comes to the Bud Crawford and how they attempt to diminish his achievements, is the fact that when you look at his resume, they're pretty much saying that nobody that he's fought up to this point was considered to be greater than him. Nobody that he's fought up to this point was considered to be greater, equal or greater to him. They don't even put all his opponents as being equal to him. They pretty much place Terrence Crawford's opposition as being below what is required for Terrence Crawford to challenge himself and be considered one of the greats of this era. This is what their narratives have been. They're pretty much putting it out there that this man ain't fought nobody that's equal to greater, and that's why he's never been challenged. But when it comes to Spence, he gets credit for the Kell Brook situation, and he gets credit for the Sean Porter situation. Now, we can say and debate all day long, did anybody believe that Kell Brook was greater than Errol Spence heading into that fight, coming off a 5th round stoppage from Gennady Golovkin? No, they was curious. But pretty much they might have had that fight a 50-50 fight. Then going in there to the Sean Porter fight, Sean Porter had a very pristine reputation for being in shape and being a roughhouse brawling type of boxer, which fit the forward pressure style of Errol Spence Jr., a guy who comes forward, very active with his jab, and isn't afraid to get grimy on the inside and mix it up and really fight, take two punches to get his one. He's always been that type of dude, right? But the same can be said for his resume, if that's the argument that they're talking about. Terrence Crawford said something that pretty much Roy Jones has put out there. He said he just make it look easy. You know what I'm saying? He just make it look easy. Crawford said he just make it look easy. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing what Roy Jones mentioned. But Crawford said he just makes it look easy. Let me get to this chat right quick. Shout out to Don Vaughn on deck. Triple G collected Kell Brooks' eye, but they awarded it to Errol, I guess. BIG on deck. What's good? What was Errol's jab, body shots, and eye catalog against Porter? True words. True words. Good point. So when Errol Spence, when it comes to people assessing how he's going to go about fighting, Terrence Crawford is always the same layout all the time. Oh, he got the best jab in boxing, the best jab. Don't no one. Look, you don't find a group of people. Let's just say a group is more than one. You don't find two people that would you in a room and you ask them about Crawford. You say, well, tell us about Crawford. What do you think? They're not going to say he has a educated jab. You know what I'm saying? And you're using boxing etiquette, boxing terminology. You know what I'm saying? He has an educated jab. Because he doesn't start every fight off the same, right? What they will say about him is the visual frame that they see him. They'll put him in orthodox or southpaw, or whatever. That's the one automatic they'll talk about Crawford. Everything else is scrambled eggs, bro. They don't know, and I find that to be brilliant, because when someone doesn't know your predictability, but yet you're still considered to be a very dangerous type of fighter, I think it works out great in this circumstance. That's why heavy is the head who wears the crown, because they cannot give you set templates on Bud Crawford on what he's going to do in the ring. But Errol Spence does have a set template. People say the same thing all the time. There's nothing wrong with having a template. It's up to the opponent to break open that template and find areas of vulnerability and expose them. You know what I'm saying? And maybe use their strengths and make it their weaknesses. However that person chooses to do it, it's up to them. But I guarantee you, most of what you hear people talk about, they start with the jab. They talk about he's a pressure fighter and his punch output. Punch output, pressure, depending on who's talking, they can go in either order. You know what I'm saying? Second or third, or whatever, third or second, however you want to do it. They can go in whatever order you want them. Pressure fighter, punch output, pressure fighter. Those three is going to hit you right away. There's really no commonality of three bullet points that comes to mind when it's Crawford. They will try to explain to you what he may do to start the fight. This what possibly Crawford can do. This what can possibly happen here. He potentially may be able to do this, or he might do this here. Don't nobody know. So I'm asking you this question to the listeners: isn't the element of surprise extremely important, especially when it comes to the art of combat? Don't they tell you that? Haven't you, those of you that been in martial arts and practice, isn't the element of surprise extremely important when it comes to combat in general? The mindset of combat, isn't it extremely important? Don't you want to be able to surprise your opponent? Don't say it doesn't matter just because I'm mentioning it, because it does. Combat can be in wartime. It can be any type of, one-to-one destruction of the other. But isn't that extremely important? The art of combat, the element of surprise in the art of combat. Isn't it better to be unpredictable than extremely predictable? So let's go to the predictability. There was a particular person that said, and it took me back to when, I heard him say what he say. Like I heard someone respond when this topic, only certain people get access to have certain individuals on their panel leading up to this fight. But the question was proposed that when it comes to these two, what are what are the areas of concern that stand out most to you? And then they they start off this. Okay, for instance, they went off with the template with Aerosmith, right? But when it got to Bud, they say, Bud is a switch. That don't matter. They don't matter. They don't matter. Him switch here don't matter. Okay. Some people may believe it don't matter because they used to just being in an environment that trains, the strength of that particular boxer. If that boxer is good in the southpaw stance, they remediate the southpaw stance. People sit up here and tell you, about Bruce Lee and how his mindset was. Bruce Lee believes, it's better for you to remediate something 1,000 times and perfect it instead of being a man of many, but a master of none. He believes in, remediating thousands of times until you master it. Instead of saying, I have all these, traits and these skills and these weapons, but I'm a master of none. I'm a master of none. And mastery all depends on the results. And those results have to come against, in the sport of boxing, those results have to come against people who's considered equal or greater to you. Those masteries cannot become or cannot be proven or satisfied to those who are on the outside looking in, or supposed to be fans or critics or whatever. Those mastery, for you to master something, it has to be in the ring with someone who's considered greater, equal, greater than you. I would prefer greater, a person that's coming in there and you may be the slight underdog. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case. I'm talking about not betting odds underdog, but I'm talking about underdog when it comes to paper, when it comes to skill set and all that. That's not the case here. In this case right here, people looking at it as a 50-50 fight. People looking at this shit as a 50-50 fight. So when they talk about you mastering something, it's because you do it over and over again, and they have seen the effect that it has on an adversary or a foe that they consider equal to greater. And the reason why they use, Spencer's jab a lot is because that's how he starts off. That's the fundamentals of boxing. You know what I'm saying? He starts off pop, 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 pop. He stick the jab up there. Most of the time he's doubling up on the jab, and he does come forward damn near like this is something he remediated over and over. He always, close distance slightly with the jab. He just don't stand there and pop the jab up. Like Lomachenko. Lomachenko has a habit of doing 12-3. He'll just do a touch jab, 12-3, 12-3 to set something up. In my opinion, yeah, he's setting up for a trap, but he's not really using his jab to effectively begin to break down his opposition. He's just putting it out there on display, just like it's a freaking pendulum. He wants you to be lured to sleep, and he wants to put it right there center so it can pretty much distract you because it's right in your line of sight. He used to do that a lot. But one thing about Spence, he comes out there and he pops a jab. One thing about Crawford, we don't know how he's going to start the fight. I'm not saying he ain't going to throw a jab, but when he actually starts to get moving, there's a mixture of skill sets that you're witnessing. There's a combination. I'm not talking about the combination of punch sets. I'm talking about there's a combination of skills. There's a combination of technique. There's a combinations of a plethora of boxing fundamentals that he's worked on throughout his boxing life that people don't give him credit for because you don't see it play out in every fight. You don't see it play out in every fight. People say that Crawford haven't pretty much exhausted all his skill set, but yet he's still undefeated. Then there's the criticism that, the level of opposition he's fought, right? But now him stepping in there with Errol Spence, you have to look at it like this. Don't come with any excuses. Don't come with any excuses. If I hear individuals talk of Errol Spence as if the accident don't matter, then keep that in your shoebox and don't bring it back out on the 30th. Because this is a fight where it's been said by himself that he's a natural 68 pounder, right? He's the natural bigger fighter than Crawford. There's a lot that he's admitted to doing that basically took him through, dark areas in his life where there was a penalty. How long that penalty is going to have a residual effect, I don't know. I really don't care leading up to this fight. All I want to know, all WCS is want to know is how the first half of the fight is going to go. Because both of these fighters are in there with opposition that's considered to be equal and suspected, allegedly, one of them are greater than the other. You can listen to whoever you want to, and they can say that Errol Spence is better than Crawford. They can say that Crawford is better than Errol Spence. But it's not too many fans of these fighters that's going to automatically say, well, you know what? Seriously, I'm not trolling. Seriously. So-and-so is greater than so-and-so. So-and-so is greater. No, both of these fighters heading into July 29th, man. I'm talking about the expectations balanced pretty equally. It's balanced pretty equally. Now, what keeps them a little bit on edge is the fans that are unsure, the ones that's full of anxiety, the ones that's been faking the funk and not really supporting their fighter as a boxing fanatic, a hardcore boxing fan. The hardcore boxing fans, they're going to break it down however they see it. But look, over here, for me, I can't speak for the whole Crawford fan base. For me, I factor in a lot of things that I learned, from doing extreme things in life. I'm going off situations that when I was when I got to a point of being much older, and I found out, some younger cats wasn't on the level that they supposed to be. And, you come to find out why they wasn't, some of them will tell you, oh, I just started to get in shape at this time, or, I smoke in my off time, when I'm not, in the gym hard, or, they tell you little small things that are cons in their life that we would consider minuses that subtract from them being much more greater than they could, right? So I look at Bud Crawford's whole entire package when it comes to how he lived the salubrity lifestyle. First and foremost, I look at him and salubrity, living a healthy living. I look at that, right? I look at athleticism. If I'm from the outside looking in, I only assess it for what I can. But if I seen it in person, I carry that with me too. If I'm debating on who I believe is better and more physically able to break down the other one, and that's at distance or close proximity, close quarters fighting, or if it gets dirty, who I believe that can be the more dirtier fighter. And then in between that, you have to look at the strength aspect. Who is the stronger fighter? What makes them the stronger fighter? And what areas, what boxing matches or fights that they had on their resume that you can look at to prove your point that so and so may be stronger. You know what I'm saying? I remember people saying that Sean Porter was the bigger guy. I mean, Errol Spence was bigger than Sean Porter heading into that fight. And just because Sean Porter was a brawler, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't going to be able to deal with Spence. Spence was going to break him down and knock him out on the inside, right? And that wasn't the case. Sean Porter was able to easily turn Errol Spence in the eye of the storm, in the eye of the fucking storm. When they clinched and they was throwing shots, he was able to turn Spence, and Spence was able to turn Sean Porter sometime. But it wasn't lopsided as people was talking before the fight happened. They was acting like Errol Spence had more strength. He was bigger. He was just gonna, do what he wanted with Sean Porter. And we're talking about a previous football player. But with Bud Crawford, is just undetermined. They know the threat is there. You hear me? They know the threat is there. I have to go back to the hood when I'm growing up, right? People say, I know that nigga. You ask the OG, hey, what you think about something, man? That little nigga, man, he dangerous, man. Look, I knew some dudes who was small in stature, wasn't in school and shit, but every now and then you see the motherfucker show up at a football game. You're just like, oh, there goes so-and-so. Damn, I remember when he was in school, but he ain't in school no more. You know what I'm saying? And then, they go out there and tell everybody, hey, man, I used to play this. And they say, hey, so-and-so, when you going to get back in school, man? This, that, and the other. And then somebody may not know him. Say, hey, who is that right there? Oh, that's just so-and-so, man. Nigga dropped out of school. But that's a dangerous month. That little nigga right there, man. God, that nigga dangerous, man. That nigga strong as hell, too. He used to fight all the time. Get kicked out of school, missing school and classes and all that shit. Used to get suspended all the time. A little strong-ass little nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's what comes into play when, I don't know, the extreme conversation when it comes in from the critics. You know what I'm saying? The critics always want to mention size with Bud Crawford, but they can't tell you people who have just made him pay dearly for supposedly being undersized. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they always talk about, oh, he undersized, he's small. You heard Charlo speak about it all the time. He's small, he undersized, he's small, man. That little boy, that light boy, or whatever he called him, he's small. Now heading into this fight with Spence, he's supposed to be the smaller fighter, right? Because his natural weight, Spence will go up here and say he's a natural 68, but people turn around and try to say, well, that ain't nothing. You want to ask them to make up their fucking mind. 1 minute they saying Crawford small as shit, right? He too small for Errol. And then they'll turn around now that it's walking around weight, and now they want to act like, oh, well, Errol Spence is too big to be at 47. It's going to take a lot for him to make 47. He's a natural 168 pounder. Unlike Bud Crawford, he's more around that weight class of 147. So, Spence has to go through a lot more to get down to 47 to make this fight. We have to look at it in that way. No, we don't. We have to hear and understand that you're making excuses already. You're making excuses, man. Isn't it a bit of brilliance when you really don't know everything you want to know about a person? So since that's the case, that you have people out here that don't know, they really can't give you a set top three, list. I'm not talking about listen to me. I'm just talking about random. No preparation and nothing, just random. Hey, how do you think this fight gonna play out? Okay, let's start with Terrence Crawford. What do you think? Well, we know he's gonna start off in orthodox. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. But after orthodox southpaw, where does it go from there? What does he do all the time? There's no need to mention the jab because they say Spence got damn near the best jab in boxing. Okay, cool. Give him that. Pressure. Does Crawford really give pressure, or does he give you a variety of movement? He gives you a variety. He's not considered to be a flat-footed fighter. A lot of people saying Jeff Horn was too big. The Aussie was too big. He roughed up and bullied Manny Pacquiao. But what did Bud do to him? Bud was handling him and turning him on the inside, showing that he was a stronger fighter. He broke down Jeff Horn. I mean, he broke down. It wasn't sloppy. It wasn't a sloppy, landing Hail Marys, Ricardo Mayorga style. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't sloppy. It was methodical. What template are you going to give Bud Crawford heading into this fight? That's the biggest question. A template isn't saying that, well, let's talk about contracts. I mean, y'all dudes need to let that shit go. We're talking about physicality. We're talking about what each fighter has been blessed with to learn and remediate it. And so-called, when you hear people say develop and build. Someone said Bud Crawford was built into a fighter. You know what I'm saying? The last time I checked, when you purchase a car, and they build that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? They build a vehicle. But somebody mentioned that Terrence was built into a fighter. That means, they're running with the narrative that he had good matchmakers to line him up with opponents that he can excel and he can look better than to build up his career, right? And I said to myself, isn't that one of the primary duties of a matchmaker, is to match you up with fighters? Now, if you go in there with fighters who's supposed to be equal to greater, and you make it look easy like they wasn't on your level, is that the matchmaker's fault? Or even is that Bud Crawford's fault? No, it's not. It's just him basically stepping in there with an opponent that he was matched up with and coming out victorious. Now, over time, if there was several opponents that was placed in here with Crawford, and he continued to make them look like it was nothing easy, then from those naysayers on the outside that really don't support him like that, they're gonna say, well, he ain't fought nobody. Well, that's not true. That's been proven not to be true. That's been proven not to be true. And that's why when you ask his peers, you know what I'm saying, you ask his boxing colleagues, we're not talking about best friends of Crawford or anything. If you ask them about him, they respect the fact on how he carries himself in the sport, but also they respect the fact on how he carries himself as a fighter inside the ropes. They respect how he performs as a fighter inside the ropes. That's the biggest punctual, part of it. When you want to just put an anchor right there, is how he performs inside the ropes. He doesn't give you the same look each and every time he's inside the ropes once the bell rings. And that's a dangerous man right there. That's a dangerous man. But on the flip side of that, as I said previously, when it comes to the Spence fans and comes to, what he's been doing lately with what they considered damage, he's been damaging his opponent. They refuse to acknowledge who that opponent was. You know what I'm saying? They will refuse to think that opponent who has lost to some of the best competition in that division doesn't matter. All they're doing is just taking a name that was high in the rankings. So, when you look at the Udinas Ugas and especially Danny Garcia, they would say, oh, it's Danny Garcia. It was Danny Garcia. But Danny Garcia was high in the rankings. That's even, after coming off a loss to Sean Porter. He was still high in the rankings to set up a potential comeback fight with Errol Spence. And I even mentioned this back then. I said they're keeping him up there for a reason. You know what I'm saying? This man loses, he doesn't even go anywhere. Sean Porter loses, he don't go nowhere. But when Crawford fought Avanesian that was in the rankings, he was 6th in the rankings, the shit didn't matter. How is it don't matter? Because he's not more of a popular name, or he was on BoxRec schedule to fight somewhere else for an EBU title? How does it not matter? It has to matter. It has to matter because the ranking systems are there for a reason. Whether you like who's in it and where they are residing at, that's up to you. But this right here, this Monday, this is the last one before we get started. We have 2 days to see two of the best fighters in boxing in the same division finally communicate in the same room and let the media be the the judge. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're talking about being able to propose certain questions. I'm not saying every question is going to be answered or whatever, but tomorrow is the first day where we get to hear from the fighters. We get to see if there's going to be some type of energy. You know what I'm saying? We get to see if something is going to be said that we didn't think, because right now it's not much to go off of. We know it's been amicable. We know that Errol Spence has been on and said what he said about Bud Crawford, as far as how the talks went and stuff like that. And he didn't say that Bud Crawford held up the fight. He did not confirm any of this, negativity that was going on last year. He did not. He pretty much said, a fighter should, try to get as much as possible. He should negotiate your worth, period. Not just because your name Bud Crawford. If your name Bud Crawford doesn't mean you should eat scraps at this point in your career. You're in your 3rd division and you defended your title 6 times. But yet we have people thinking he should be eating off the scraps in the back. You know what I'm saying? Just wait there. Just wait there. We'll put the plate. We'll slide it up through the doggy door, and we'll give you the scraps after we're done. No, that's not even anywhere close to being true, bro. And then you heard Spence, on MMA Fighting, where Ariel Helwani attempted to just pull some type of negative response out of Crawford. He asked him, do you like Errol and stuff like that? Do you like him? He wanted to know, did you like him? Errol can get away with shit like that. Well, is it accurate to say that you don't like him? Well, I don't know him. Well, honestly, if I ask a question like, do you like him? Well, I don't know him like that personally. I know he like to be around his family, have fun every now and then, and do what he do. They was expecting Crawford to go in there and say something extremely negative to get the ball rolling, to promote this fight. But up to this point, they really haven't been any, hooks to the body. It really hasn't been no elbows on the inside. It hasn't gotten dirty yet. This lead up, this promo hasn't gotten dirty. And also, you're talking about a fight that could potentially do crazy numbers, the biggest numbers ever in boxing. You're talking about a fight that can surpass the numbers that Floyd Mayweather have done with previous fights in the career. Floyd Mayweather may be potentially dethroned at the top of the pay-per-view scale, bro. It's possible. It's possible, man. This might be a changing of the guard when it comes to pay-per-view numbers. Don't let that slide by you. This may be a changing of the guard, man. I do believe it's going to do top 3. Top 2, top 3. Everybody's talking about this fight in their own little way. You're going to have the good with the bad, but you have two equal fighters. And that pound for pound list is on the paperwork. That's paperwork right there. That pound for pound list is on the paperwork. Their box rec is on the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? They have common opponents on the paperwork. But what we want to see is July 29th. What we want to see is Tuesday, Wednesday, what is going to be said, what the energy is going to be like. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to take the lead on trash talking? Or are we going to revisit some of the conversation that was had several years ago when they first met? They're in a whole different space right now. When they met back then, they was just speculating and guessing on when the fight would take place in the future. Now the fight is on deck, official, certified, signed, sealed, and we're looking for it to be delivered in July 29th. It's on and popping. It's on and popping. That's what the biggest question mark is. Who's going to say what and when, and what the response is going to be. These two fighters have to understand this. If they want to break numbers, they can't go in here like the ESPN Plus interview. That's not going to sell tickets the way it's supposed to. Now, if by chance they start trash talking and they start pointing the finger and blaming each other, and get an aerosexual a little bit of freaking crumbs to go off of, you know what I'm saying? That, it's gonna change it up a little bit, because they're gonna do what they do. They're gonna sit up here and exaggerate. But what the Crawford supporters are gonna do is what we've been doing. We're gonna continue to look at Crawford as being the king. You know what I'm saying? Pound for pound best, heavy as a head who wear the crown. We're gonna still consider him to be the more skilled out of the two. You know what I'm saying? The more accomplished out of the two, which are facts. And the fighter that we're looking to hear go in here on July 29th and show the world that he is the one wearing the crown. He is him. All we're waiting is for it to go down. That's all we're waiting on. Forget everything else. You know what I'm saying? They can come up with titles all they want and create these narratives on what they think. Don't nobody believe that Spence is going to go over here and destroy Crawford. I mean, you can put it in a title. It's adorable. Seriously, when you put it in the title, it's adorable. It's cute. But at the end of the day, no one believes that shit, man. No one believes that he's going to go in there and destroy Crawford. Ain't nobody saying that. Even Spence said he ain't been man down in a while. So why are y'all sitting up here talking about Spence is going to destroy this man? Now, on the other hand, of the Crawford supporters, I can only speak for myself. I do believe Spence is going to get destroyed. I do. And you can call me a hypocrite all you want. I didn't say I was speaking for everybody. I just look at it differently. It's not that Spence don't have the skills. No, not at all. Spence got skills, bro. Spence can box. Spence a dog. You know what I'm saying? Look, Spence can fight. Point blank, period. Regardless of what you heard me say, Spence can fight. He has a name the way he does because he's winning some of these fights, and he made it look more difficult than what it should. And then he's also been on record as saying he made it more difficult because of whatever outside shit he was doing. But when it comes into the ring, dude can fight, man. Spence can fight. He fights differently than what they characterize the brothers. You know, they used to say the brothers want to go in here and be Pernell Whitaker. They want to hit and not get hit. They want to be pretty like Sugar Ray. They want to hit and not get hit. They want to take less damage. You know, that was a stigma that was placed on black fighters. They want to dance around and look pretty and show their footwork. The black fighters had more coordination than the white fighters. You know what I'm saying? The white fighters, they wouldn't go in there and take 3-4 punches to get one. You know, they talking about you can't expect a black fighter to fight like Rocky Marciano. It's just not gonna happen. You know, he's not gonna fight like Roberto Duran, like the Mexican style. Yes, it's entertaining, but also, you know, throughout time, that come forward mano a mano style, it takes years off fighters' life. It's very entertaining to the onlookers, but when it's all said and done, the onlookers have pretty much consumed a soda pop, some popcorn, possibly ate a glizzy, and then they went home. They wasn't heading to the locker room to have ice placed on their face and everything like that. So it's a difference between them cheering and them competing. You know what I'm saying? As an onlooker, we can cheer, but the only damage that we're taking is, you know, the fighter that we're going for, and the amount of energy that we put forth in cheering them on during the fight. If it's that type of fight. For the fighter, they're the ones who's taking the punishment. They the ones have to leave the ring and go back and recover. You know what I'm saying? Days, sometimes weeks after the fight. They have to go and recover. It's not us. So just because I look at how a person's been carrying themselves in their life, competing at the high level of combat sports, vice what I see on the other side, and what is on paper, and what I see as far as skills, and what it's going to take in this fight. This fight is going to, in my opinion, is going to reflect on if a fighter has been, you know, cutting corners. It's going to show. That's just me, man. I'm just serious. If Spence has been cutting corners, Crawford is not the fighter that you're going to be able to go in there not 100% and say, I felt that I could still go dog walking, like he said for Danny Garcia. Crawford is not the guy to go in here with that mentality. He's not the fighter for that, bro. Let me get to this chat. I see so-called Crawford fans saying the edge, the fight to Spence. What type of sense does that make? But this is why I put this up there, heaviest head who wear the crown, because, you know, when you wear the crown, it's always going to be people that's trying to, you know, devalue why you even have the crown in the first place. But the person who wears the crown totally understand the confidence. They understand who they are as a person. They understand their strengths and weaknesses, and they understand that they have more strength than weaknesses. And when it's on full display, people put that crown on them because of what they see. That's point blank, period. So all the naysayers and the ones that's unsure, the skeptics and all that, they can continue to be like, well, you know, I like Crawford, but my heart is with Spence. And ain't no such thing. Your heart ain't with nothing. Your heart ain't with nothing. It's either Crawford, it's either Spence, period. Your heart ain't with nothing. Your mind ain't with Crawford and your heart over here with Spence. Your mind ain't with Spence and your heart is with Crawford. It's either or. It ain't that difficult. It's the ones that don't have the courage to be wrong, man. We ain't come on, man. It's bound to happen. Someone needs to ask Bud about that $1 million bet at the press conference. They shook on it. I'm for sure somebody will ask that question. Real talk. I'm pretty sure it would be presented. SB90 on deck. He said, you know, Bud has better footwork, speed, IQ. List goes on and on. Well, you know, some people, depending on who you're conversing with, they'll say both fighters have IQ. You know what I'm saying? But how can you say, and this is not a question that is I'm looking for an answer. I'm just rhetorically presenting it, right? How can you say Bud has high ring IQ? Like I say, he has higher ring IQ than Spence, and that basically is blended in with what I said earlier about him not having a template as a fighter. The man has a variety of weaponry that people haven't seen on a consistent basis to say this is what he does each and every time. So when you are that fighter and you don't have to do and start off the same way because it's comfortable to you, that's when they say, oh, his ring IQ. This is how we seen him fight in this fight, this fight, this fight. He still comes out on top, and this is what he did in that fight. Ring IQ, intelligence. But when it comes to Spence, he's pretty much have a template on what he's going to do. And just because he's undefeated, and who they glorify as his paperwork, who's on his paperwork, they look at it like, okay, he has a better resume than Crawford. He has higher ring IQ. For a come forward pressure fighter, he has better ring IQ. That's what they're saying. He has better ring IQ. He has better ring IQ. That's what I see. That's what I see. They'll say it because he come forward and he break them up. That's IQ. I thought IQ was basically trying to have a variety of levels that people consider to be in the category of intelligence. Like for a person to have various skill sets or various traits, you know what I'm saying? To know, to have a lot of areas in your life that you're extremely great at. You know what I'm saying? You're extremely great at. Not just one thing you're great at and the rest is complemented based off what you're great at and the rest falls underneath it like subtitles. You know what I'm saying? You know, that jab is what everybody looks at, but everything else underneath it get complimented too because it's dressed up by the jab. I don't know what Crawford does that people give him credit for dressing up everything else that he's associated with. All them other strengths that he have and all those other skill sets, you know what I'm saying, to his cachet. They don't base everything being great based off one dimension of his skill set. You don't hear people talking like that. You just don't hear people talking like that. They always talk about what he does here, what he does there, over here. They combine a lot of what he does. His entire suit on how he dresses everything up. That's what they give him. And some of the things, you know, you don't see too often. You may see a glimpse of it here and there, but when he uses it, it's efficacious to what he has going on. It's beneficial to what is going on. It's effective. Don said, the real deal, I'm not worried about EJ's strength. I have Bud pushing Errol around just like he did Jeff Horn. He has a wrestling background. And you know, Don, they would jettison that from a conversation over and over again. I like when Derek James has mentioned out there that, you know, Crawford is a built fighter. You know, they say Errol Spence is a developed fighter. So now we're talking about developed and built. You know what I'm saying? Now we have people up here not understanding that they're pretty much the same. You know what I'm saying? Development, built. In development, you're building someone up to be better than what they was when they initially started. So the entire process in development phases is building something up. It's development stages. It's in development. When a house is built, right? When they lay the foundation and lay the base down, and you know what you're about, how this house is going to play out. It's in the development stages, especially when the owner is going through the floor plan and all that. You're developing what you want. Okay, this, and you developing all the way up, and then it gets built step by step, floor by floor. You know what I'm saying? Everything you want. A fighter comes into the sport and he's considered like a prospect or a tyro, a novice. What do? You build them up. You start them off with the basic fundamentals. 1, 2, 1, 2. You get them in strength and condition. You get them, you know, locked into the fighter's lifestyle, and then you start slowly building them up, adding certain technique after technique after technique, teaching them the fundamentals of boxing. You're building them up. It's easy when Crawford's name come up and people mention switch hit, they say, oh, they don't mean nothing. They don't mean nothing, man. Get out of here. Okay. So therefore, if someone is giving you variety and you say, well, giving somebody a different look doesn't matter, then that's asinine. That's asinine to think that if you can just give somebody one look and go straight forward, you just have fighters. I seen this podcast where you just had a fighter that is I mean, real talk. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all some shit that I know no one else has even brought to your attention, and I really wanted to save it to after the presser. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to save it to after the presser. You know what? I am gonna save it to after the presser. I'm gonna save it to after the presser. But if I do that, then y'all won't even know what I was gonna tell you in the first place. You know what I'm saying? It's just wow how that's the case. You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. You know, Derrick James, it was on record. You know, that is the coach, right? Derrick James, coach, trainer, whatever you want to call him, right? He was on record. He's on record as being, you know, Spencer's trainer, coach, whatever. Everybody know who he is. That is his fighter. His fighter has been known to go in there just with Yadinas Ugas and known to go mano a mano with fighters. Like, right? He was the same coach that was there when he fought Sean Porter. Mano a mano. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. This is a coach that is very critical of anything that Bud Crawford does or what his fans say. But understand one thing. You are the coach. You are the coach of Errol Spence. You are the coach of his style. You are the one who basically support and advocate a style like that because you continue to train him that way. That come forward style where he takes punishment from his opponents to give punishment, right? So when he was on a podcast, the question, you know, they came to a conclusion on whether you would, you know, want to go in there and bang it out or get knocked out, you know, which is what was I forgot exactly how the answer came about, but it was like which one? Pick your poison, which one? And Derrick James is on record as saying he would rather get knocked out than you know, take punishment. Now listen to what he said. He said he would rather get knocked out than take punishment. Because punishment, days after the fight, you know, you be sleeping, you wake up, oh good, oh shit, you think you still in the fight because that shit haven't worn down yet. It's just like Timothy Bradley saying that you know his speech was slurred at the Provodnikov fight, right? But Derrick James said he would rather get knocked out. Oh, because they was going through his amateur. He was talking about how many amateur fight he had. He had hundreds of amateur, and he was like 20, 25-7 as a professional. But this man said he would rather get knocked out than take punishment. And I said to myself immediately, well, that's exactly what your fighter be doing, taking punishment. That's exactly what Errol Spence be doing, taking punishment. I don't see him in there with some crazy defense, avoiding punishment. That's exactly what your fighter be doing, taking punishment. I can see if he was defensively minded all the time, he was slick, and we got a little Pernell Whitaker, Hector Camacho Macho. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about slick fighters. James lights out Tony on the inside. Shit. When your James Tony can goddamn hear your mind thinking of what you want to do, and he'll react to it. It's not like we got that. We got a come forward pressure fighter who gives you that Mexican, that Blaxican style. You know what I'm saying? That Blaxican style come forward and brawl it out type situation. But Derrick James, fighter, is a come forward pressure fighter who's taking punishment over the time. I would think he took more punishment than Terrence Crawford. People will sit up here and say, well, Terrence Crawford chinning. I really can't pinpoint a time where, Terrence Crawford has been on the canvas from a knockout. You know what I'm saying? But they think because Spence, who he's been in there with, and it's not like he ain't been on the canvas. We're not going there. It's not like he ain't been on the canvas. Okay, it ain't like he ain't been hurt. So like I said before, it's a compilation that I have out there of everyone every time Spence has been hurt, right? And then of course there's video footage out there where Crawford has been in. They love to bring up the Gamboa fight. They love to just bring up the Gamboa fight, even though he hurt Crawford and Crawford acknowledged he was hurt during that fight. He still finished the fight. So isn't it, odd that he say I'd rather get knocked out than take punishment, but yet you train a fighter that takes punishment? So is it only a matter of time before he is knocked out? Because he has to be slowing down. He is about to step in there with competition that he's never been in there with, period. He's never been in there with the level opposition of a Bud Crawford. Not only skill for skill, but one thing we've seen with Bud Crawford, he can fight at a certain tempo all the way up to he flip on his kill switch. And the naysayers, they get mad at this. They get mad for Bud having a kill switch. They get mad because they say, oh, he's supposed to be boxing. He's supposed to be going in there like Spence and just settling down and boxing. But the sweet science consists of every facet of how you delegate your opposition. Your offensive strategy. However you can do it, and it's effective to your benefit. That's what we're talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about. But they get mad because Bud has a kill switch and he throws it shit out the window, and now you're in a motherfucking fight. Isn't boxing considered fighting? Like they pick and choose on who they want to give credit to at the end of the day. Like, isn't boxing considered fighting? Is it something that says in the boxing bylaws that you only allowed to use formal technique, which is taught inside the gym, that's in the boxing manuals? 1 2 2 2 1 1 1 2 2 2 1 all together. 1 2 1 2 1 1 2 2 2 1 2 1 2. You know what I'm saying? That's just not the way the sport goes, man. You tell a motherfucker he got a kill switch, and they say, oh man, that kill switch don't mean shit. That means he don't have no discipline. He always want to throw shit out and want to make it a school fight. But he gets him up out of there though. All right. Anyway, W says, don't take your feet off their neck. Remember, this was supposed to take place in June via Spectrum. Yeah, June. I remember that date. Hey, I remember that date. June's supposed to have been the infamous date where this fight took place because they leaked the information. Come on, bro. That shit don't happen. Ain't nobody leaking no freaking fight, man. But human beings, man, they're so gullible, especially when they want. They're in a system. YouTube is a system. They're in a system where you have these areas to benefit you in this system. Views, likes. You know what I'm saying? That's what the system requires. What was Errol jab, body shots, and eye catalog against Porter? Well, they're going to say he really couldn't put it on display the way he should because Errol Spence, chose to fight Sean Porter's fight. That's why it wasn't on display. He wanted to go mano a mano, man. Come on, man. He wanted to go mano a mano. That's what he wanted to do. Mano a mano. You know what I'm saying? Punch for punch, tit for tat, all that. That's why you didn't see the fundamentals and the jab. He wanted to go in there and fight for some reason, bro. For some reason. Who knows? I don't know. It wasn't like he was in his hometown. He wasn't in Texas. He didn't have to prove nothing to the people in Texas. He wasn't even fighting in Texas for that fight. I don't know, man. BIG say salute. WCS in the chat. Salute to you, brother. Hot Country said that's how good he is. Everyone thinks he fights nobody because how easy he picked them apart. True words, man. So it should be a level of credit given, right? A certain percentage of credit given, and that's a high percentage of that. But they just don't want to be honest with themselves. They've chosen sides. It's crazy. They're chosen sides. And how they choosing sides is to pretty much say that Crawford hasn't did anything. He hasn't fought nobody equal to greater than him. But yet, when you talk about how he's went in here and broke these opponents down and earned a stoppage, they'll say, well, man, it wasn't the same. When they fought Errol Spence, they wasn't the same, man. When they fought David Avenesian, nobody knew who he was. David Avenesian had already been knocked out by Igis Kavalauskas, who was a common opponent of Terrence Crawford. What do you expect? They wasn't the same. So let me get this correct. David Avenesian wasn't the same from Igis Kavalauskas. No, we ain't talking about shit Crawford did, man. Forget that. We talking about goddamn Kell Brook, Sean Porter, dog. That's their claim to fame. Kell Brook, Sean Porter. That's it. I find it funny how they bring up Bud Bianchini, but fail to mention Mean Machine was a bona fide puncher. Spence got rocked by a man with 12 KOs. Yeah, man. Talk your shit, man. Talk that shit. Real talk. Education is key. You know what I'm saying? Education is key. Everybody have their way about talking about boxing. And, all these people want to come up here and talk about, people believe that speaking on the sport of boxing is going, round for round of a fight and predicting the fight on how it's going to play out. In all reality, you can sit up here and give someone a visual. You can prognosticate all you want and be absolutely wrong. And all that technicality, this round one, he's going to come and start out with the jab. He's going to put the jab out there. And it's going to be up to Bud Crawford to make sure he creates distance and use distance damn etiquette and make sure his punches, he sets up a counter shot and then he step on his front toe. Step on Spence's front toe. Well, that's only if he is in orthodox or whatever. So he can goddamn, he need to keep his toe on the outside and in the back and in the rear and slide it to the left underneath while he's throwing a hook to the body. And all. I mean, come on, bro. You don't know how the fight's gonna play out. He need to pin his left hand and then hit him with his free hand and all that. Well, once again, it depends on if he's in orthodox or southpaw. We don't know. But hey, what we do understand is that he don't stand freaking orthodox too long. So it's going to be southpaw to southpaw, and we're going to see who the better southpaw is. This, that, and the other. It's going to just be an average fight. Crawford ain't going to have no advantage fighting southpaw. It don't matter. It's just going to, how's he going to handle the pressure? How's he going to handle the pressure? Because Spencer's put on that pressure. Crawford too small. All that lateral movement ain't going to mean nothing with Errol Spence going to the body. Errol Spence going to break him down to the body and then come up top. And Crawford's eyes going to start to swell up. And then the referee going to go over there. Hey, doctor, can you take a look at this eye? It's going to be the same outcome as Dennis Ogres. That's what they're trying to say. You know what I'm saying? He's going to break that boy up. But when Crawford, one thing about Crawford in distance, when he collect the data, man, and he collect the data and that's what he needs to get the answer to the formula. You know what I'm saying? Spacing is everything. And once he get his proper spacing, and that timing comes in, when he starts timing someone who's forward, it's going to be detrimental. When he starts to collect data and he finally settles into his distance and the spacing that he has from Errol Spence jab to the fact that him being just mere half inch, you can see that shit in Shakur Stevenson too. Once Crawford gets settled in and he has that distance the way he needs to be from Errol Spence to be able to counter him effectively without covering distance, unnecessary distance to potentially get him countered, it's gonna be over, bro. And not to forget, if Crawford starts to be the pressure fighter, how is Errol Spence gonna box off the back foot is the biggest question mark too. That's what we want to know. How is he gonna box off the back foot? If Crawford is pressuring him and he's landing shots, how is the fight going to go when they finally make it up against the ropes? Are we going to see this incredible strength that they talk about from this bigger fighter who's a natural 168-pound fighter? Are we going to see that incredible strength on the inside? Or Crawford's going to demonstrate how effective his wrestling is inside the boxing ring? How effective is it for Crawford to have that ability to control his opponent's movement with that wrestling pedigree? True. I honestly don't see this fight being competitive. I see Bud making it look easy. You really need to engage Bud's whole boxing IQ to stand a chance. Chance is a Spence. Man, you're going to get somebody, man, knocking on your door, man. You're going to get them cats knocking on your door and shit. Come outside. Come outside. Come outside. They're going to be in your front lawn, dog. What the hell y'all doing on my front lawn? Ooh, we just want to bring to your attention what you said in the chat over there when WCS was talking. So you thought it was sweet. But we do roll in groups now. We travel. What you said is you don't see this fight being competitive. Explain yourself. Else there's going to be consequences. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to say that, man. They'll be out. Come outside. Come outside. Spence has a Mexican boxing style. Bud picks those styles apart. True words, man. But, you know, if I was petty, I would be like, hey, Don, can you chill a little bit? You're putting too much out there, man. But then again, I say, no, I want them to hear everything because that's the competitiveness I like. Like, there's nothing they can do on here. There's nothing the trainers going to train the way they train. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I do know is we haven't seen everything Bud has to offer. Is Errol Spence the guy to allow that to come out? Is he the one that's going to bring it all out? Is he the one? That's all I want to know. Is Errol Spence the guy who's going to bring out all the weaponry that we haven't seen on a consistent basis from Crawford? See, if I was an Errol Sexual, I would say, Don, I'm going to delete this comment right quick because you're basically giving away secrets. And I really want Bud Crawford to just have every stinking advantage possible. You feel me? You understand? I mean, that's where I'm at with it. You know, I mean, come on now. I was up here sipping my coffee and I said, God damn it. He's dropping too much sauce this morning. And me being the administrator, I need to delete this comment because Errol Sexuals may screenshot it and then send it to Derek James anonymously. No, when Errol Sexuals send to Derek James, they make sure they put their whole signature on there. Hey, Derek. Yeah. Errol Sexual here. I'm just letting you know I'm looking out for your best interest. But look what I seen on WCS chat. I don't like that guy first and foremost, but look at this guy, Don. Don put this in the chat. Do you think it's a concern of yours? He said something that's kind of true. He said that Errol Spence fight Mexican style. You might need to switch it up, buddy, because he's right. Bud Crawford, he absolutely tear them down and break them up real nice. So right now, I'm telling you, this day forward, you need to change up that style a little bit. Change it up. Don't give the Mexican style. Do something different. Think of Marvin Hagler, how he came out when he fought Sugar Ray now. Switch it up. Don't give them what they think they're going to see. Don't even come out in southpaw. You know, he said he wanted Leonard Hagler. Okay. You know, whose style changed up for whatever reason. You might want to change your style up, change your stance up, come out orthodox. You know, give us a different look that we ain't seen before. That's what we're looking for, Charlie. Yes, he said, I don't fear the man who practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bruce was a different dude, wasn't he? You know what I'm saying? That is true words right there coming from a warrior. He said, I don't fear the man who practiced 10,000 kicks. See, the average person is talking about 10,000 kicks. Well, 10,000 kicks, that's a lot. No, he's talking about 10,000 different kicks. 10,000 different kicks. I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. Ooh, shout out to Bruce Lee, man. EJ does nothing great. He relied on his physical strength. Hey, man, Crawford is a smaller fighter. You know what I'm saying? Crawford is a smaller fighter. These dudes are up here talking about size, dog. They just seen Bivol beat the brakes off Zerto. And that's my guy, man. Man, had a great conversation with him, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, Zerto was my guy. I was like, man, I'm glad he finally moved up because he wasn't doing anything at 68. He moved up to 175. You know, he was fighting up there for a minute. Nobody even knew he existed, really. You know what I'm saying? Then he finally got his shot at Bivol. I was like, God damn. Bivol was a smaller fighter. You want to talk about ring IQ, man? We're going to keep it on the heavy as the head who wear the crown, God damn it. That's what we about to see. And no, imagine being so great that your ops have to nitpick everything about you and your style to try and find something to hate on. That's the petty part of the YTC. You know what I'm saying? Everybody feels that they have the right to speak on whoever they feel like and say what they want. And they feel like if they in a group, because this is all about size. This is all about favoritism. Most of the channels, you know, they favor whoever the favorite fighter is if the fight is popular enough to be given that much needed attention. That, you know, if it's given that attention, that's when people just pretty much congregate, monger around one another, and they talk the same way. But in this scenario right here, I mean, they don't give Bud credit for doing too much of anything, especially when it comes to his resume. And you know, WCS has put it out there before. So if his resume isn't a quality of opposition, you know what I'm saying? And you're saying the QoS is it, the quality of service, his quality of service, QoS, and his quality of opposition that don't add up, then the quality of this outcome should favor Errol Spence heavy, because you're saying that Bud Crawford has not did anything up to this point. Point blank period. He hasn't did anything. Now, you say he hasn't did anything. His quality of opposition is mediocre. That's what they say, right? Mediocre. Quality opposition is mediocre. So pretty much that basically lower the appraisal of his 3-weight division accomplishments, right? You take the knockouts that people talk about, and they don't give him credit because that he was supposed to do that to him. He's supposed to do that. But then we're talking about building up a fighter, right? So this fighter has been built up to be successful. He came in a lower weight class and build himself up with titles, championships, undisputed, and then still is on 100% knockout ratio at welterweight division. But yet when it comes to Errol Spence, their narrative is this man has done absolutely nothing to be in the position that he's in right now to be considered an opponent for July 29th. How does that all work again? Because we're missing one thing. His quality of service is not respected. His quality of opposition via BoxRec is not respected. So how is he placed on the pound for pound list? Which no matter how much they talk about it, they can't change the shit. You know what I'm saying? They can't change. He's on the pound for pound list above freaking Errol Spence. And how does that change again? Somebody tell me, how does that change? How do you make that change? If what you're saying, he hasn't did anything, this, that, and the other, he's been mediocre, subpar, marginal, you know what I'm saying? As an overall fighter, he does a lot of things bad. He's just not smart. He moved funny, bad for business, negotiating bad faith, his association, disassociation, attempts to make the fight with Top Rank. They want him to sign a multi-fight deal with PBC. He signs a multi-fight deal and it's still not good enough because they want to talk about who held up the negotiation in 2022. Not only that, look, the fight is signed now, and they want to talk about why it took so long. I mean, the panties stay with a pad in them. I swear to God, the panties stay with a pad in them. Like, what's going to make them happy, bro? It's almost like a menstrual cycle every time you log on to the YTC, bro. It's like, how are you happy? When do you become happy, bro? You're mad at 22. You're still talking about 22. We in 23. We getting closer. Boom. The fight's happening. Now you're talking about what took the fight so long. You're not talking about the fight itself. Now, when the fight is mentioned and you want to talk about how it may play out, they're still looking at like, well, I'm going to be honest with you like this. There's no way that Bud Crawford can stand up to the pressure of Errol Spence Jr. Okay, I can respect that because I say I don't see no way of Errol Spence defeating Terrence Crawford. I get that. I can get it. But the reason why I'm saying it is that I see him as being that much better of a fighter and the way he's disciplined outside the ring. I just think residually there are effects that's going on that we don't have, that we're not privy to, that people don't want to talk about because it feels like it always put them in a place where they're going to be subjected to be questioned. You know what I'm saying? And not until, look, not until he came out and actually admitted to all of that they finally had an intervention. These dudes finally had an intervention. Say, God, I can't believe he finally did it. I was so used to denying. I was in denial so bad. But he finally came out and admitted. God, that sucks. These dudes was denying. Oh, man, he didn't do that. No, that ain't true. Nah. How you know he at the club? Oh, he ain't at no club. He's trains all the time. They saying he's deep in the training. He's chiseled. He's this. Okay, cool. I hope he is. I seriously hope he is. I real talk. I want the best of the best. Real talk. I don't want the best fighting the less. I want the best fighting the best. Best of best. Best of the best. Best of the best. That's what we want. Best of the best. We don't want any freaking excuses. So-and-so has been on record, say he don't want no tune-ups. He don't need no tune-ups. Cool. We got it. Al Money, what's good? Big Blunts and Boxing on deck. The GOAT in the building. Errol getting slept, just like Avocado, same punch. Okay, so somebody thinks that, what Avanesian was slept with is going to replay itself come July 29th. Okay, I'll take that. Lost all the boxing, the LAB on deck. What's good with it? But what if Crawford pressure Spence? Errol not used to that. He's not. And most of the time they don't mention that. They're the real ones. They'll say that Errol Spence doesn't fight well off the back foot, but they won't give Crawford the benefit of being the aggressor and influencing that position on Errol Spence. They believe that it's impossible for Errol Spence to be forced to box off the back foot, y'all. They feel it's impossible because Terrence is smaller. He doesn't have the strength and he don't have the power to force Errol to box off the back foot. It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. And what happened when Mikey Garcia did? Oh, okay. Between fights, you see videos of Bud lifting weights, wrestling out with his family, all sorts of activities. And you see Errol in the club or just drunk somewhere. It ain't a good look for Errol. It's not. But I'm trying to keep it positive because heavy is the head who wear the crown, and he's wearing the crown because he's that good. You know what I'm saying? He's that good. We trying to stay positive. We trying to stay positive, dog. Hey, I ain't saying you wrong, Toby. We try to stay positive today. It's the day before the presser. We trying to stay positive, y'all. He said he putting Spence on the back foot and spinning him every time he try to build momentum. It's gonna get bad, y'all. It's gonna get bad because I remember these same people was in here talking about, hey, truth be told, man, I'm gonna be honest, man. You know me, man. I ain't no fanboy. I ain't no dick rider. You know me, but check this out. If Terrence Crawford, if Bud fight Sean Porter on the inside, he gonna get knocked out, dog. He gonna get knocked out. He chinny, dog. He fight Sean Porter on the inside. He chinny, bro. I'm telling you, that's what they were saying, man. That's what they were saying. Real talk. Shout out to Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz some more, man. The OG on deck. What's good with it, Bruce? How you feeling? Y'all see that article Errol talking about he want huge paydays and legacy pound for pound? Used to mean a lot when more to him. Hey man, I don't have no problem with him wanting more money. The man said he's on borrowed time. Hey, get it how you live. He's on borrowed time. Get it how you live. I ain't mad at him. Did Spence ever fight a real puncher with the high KO ratio? The real puncher that he fought up to that point that was supposed to be the puncher was Kell Brook. Kell Brook was his first title, of course, and this Kell Brook had pretty much dispersed of a common name in the welterweight division in Sean Porter, and Sean Porter was considered that dog. Man. Even though he got his title off Devin Alexander, respect to Devin Alexander, but yeah, Sean Porter's considered that dog, and he lost to then Kell Brook, and then Kell Brook coming in there to fight Errol Spence. Kell Brook was considered that guy. You can't say Sean Porter. Sean Porter never had knockout power like that. Look, Sean Porter went life and limb with Adrian Granados, bro. Real talk. Yeah, real talk, man. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't Sean Porter, of course. Sean Porter was a brawler, but he was without power. Even though he fought at a higher weight class in the AMs, I don't know, man. It just didn't turn over like that. You know what I'm saying? That fight he had with Sebastian Formella, dog. Ooh, that was a doozy, wasn't it? God damn. You know what I'm saying? He went, he went life and limb, like he tried to bulldoze Adrian Broner, and still was dropped in the 12th round. So I would say Kell Brook. Period. I would say Kell Brook. It definitely won Carlos Ocampo. It definitely won Lamont Peterson, Chris Algieri. You know what I'm saying? No. And that's where it gets extremely fragile. And trying to explain this to those who talking about, well, I'll tell you. Look, and this goes out to $1 million worth of game. Yeah, you felt that you needed to put some controversy out there, and you told Terrence Crawford, and yeah, he has accomplished more, but you felt like, Errol Spence had the better competition, right? That's what Gilly said. And then when pressed about the competition, found out that it was only producer notes because they watched social media. He couldn't really tell you anything about nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he don't watch boxing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying when pressed by Terrence Crawford to present evidence on Errol Spence fighting the better opposition of the two, he couldn't break it down. Not even just the inch. He couldn't break it down. Like, just give me a little bit of space. Just prove right there, that little window right there. Prove what you mean. Start off with one fighter, and then they went on Danny Garcia. You know why? Look, he didn't fight Danny Garcia, but they was trying to say that DSG was this guy. And Terrence Crawford pretty much said he ain't beat nobody at 47. So what they do, Wallow over there on the phone, goddamn calling up Danny Garcia because they got direct communication. So he told him, he said, hey, what's going on, Danny? And then Wallow tried to instigate and say, hey, you say he ain't fought nobody. But Danny Garcia 154 right now. And he never act like he had any intentions of fighting Bud Crawford. You know, he said he didn't beat nobody at 47, which he was right. He said, well, Danny said, well, I thought I won 2 fights that was close decisions that I should have won. What was that? Which 2 fights was that? You was just waiting for that counter shot on Porter. You landed the right hand, and Porter just stood there and took it and kept boxing and putting away rounds. And people say, oh, he should fire his dad. He should fire his dad. Dude, come on, man. Come on, bro. I mean, they was just putting in producer notes, fillers. They couldn't really break down anything. Then they went to their second line of defense. They went to Bozy, and then they went to Boots. Neither one of them, all 3 of those names they mentioned had nothing to do with this fight. Crawford isn't wearing the crown because of those fighters right there. He's wearing the crown based off what he's been able to accomplish, which he mentioned first. Gilly mentioned, I do believe you have accomplished more, but Errol Spence has the better resume at 147. And then Crawford say, okay, if you saying he had a better rate, okay, who you say? Because you know, from left to right, there's debate. On the left side, you got Crawford. On the right side, you have Spence. Let's talk about the resume. It's only so far you can go. It's only so far you can go, bro. You can go 37-38. That's it on Crawford's resume. You can go Kell Brook. You can go Sean Porter. What you want to talk about? Because you don't want to go for undefeated fighters. If you don't want to go for Olympians, you know what I'm saying? If you don't want to go for champions, you know what I'm saying? If you want to throw all that to the side and just use Kell Brook and Sean Porter, well, there's debate. There's extensive debate on how you cannot use the excuses that Kell Brook wasn't the same once he left Errol Spence, without saying Kell Brook wasn't the same when he left Gennady Golovkin and head into a fight with Errol Spence immediately. Back-to-back fights after dropping down 2 weight division. It's just common thing, man. Let's keep it on the champ, bro. What's going on, Pop? How you feeling, bro? Papa like James on deck. And to answer your question, Conscious, you know, that's where they go at. Kell Brook. That's the puncher. Kell Brook, man. It definitely wasn't Ugas. It definitely wasn't Garcia. A shout out to FLY. He said, I can't wait for this fight to be over. When EJ dismantles him, what would they say then? Would they give Bud credit or jump ship and be a Bud fan? I see it being worse than the rematch. I can't wait for this fight to be over. When Spence dismantle him, what would they say then? Would they give Bud credit or jump ship? I'll give you time to rephrase that. I really don't want to take too much time. Please reinsert your freaking comment. I have no idea what you're saying. Would they give Bud credit or jump ship and be a Bud fan? What are you trying to say? Pull over if you're driving. Pull over and just reinsert it into the chat. I'll appreciate it. Crawford, 1.5 inches shorter than Spence and 2 years older. In a street fight, nobody would say it matters. So why would it an elite boxing match? Yeah, why would it matter? I mean, yes, Spence is taller, but Crawford has longer reach. Who cares? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're right. It doesn't matter with the small talk. It's good for convo, but what does it really matter? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Boxing fan talk. What's good? PCUW says, what's good? What's good with you, bro? Appreciate you being in the building. Yeah, then Spence Chin getting destroyed. He never had someone punching to take him out. Yeah, man, he never really had somebody that was punching that has proper distance etiquette, like the way he stays within proximity of his opponent to when he really getting the timing down. Like the one thing I like about him, when he gets his data to make that adjustment, it's made effectively, immediately. You know what I'm saying? Just like he was taking a little bit of punches from Kell Brook, and at the end of the third, he switched to southpaw to correct it and close him out in the fourth round. He makes changes effective immediately. I like that about him, man. He don't wait until the eighth round. Well, I was hoping that he breaks down. I knew I was taking punishment. I knew my eye was swelling, but I just started in the ninth round. Now I finally switch up, and something I wanted to do in the first round though, but I just said, I'm gonna stall him out. I'm gonna stall him out. I'm gonna stall him out. Yeah. I wanted to be patient. Me and my coach talk about being patient. So we waited to the 8th or 9th round, and then Jim Gray. Well, you think that was just you procrastinated just too long? You waited too long. This is unlike you to wait so long to make. Well, I was talking with my coach, and my coach is telling me in the corner, just take your time, be patient. It's coming. I said, okay, I'm gonna wait on my coach. Even though I'm the boxer and I can make my own decision, I'm just gonna wait on my coach. Well, yeah, you did wait on your coach, and it was too little, too late. So no, it's not gonna happen, man. Bud freaking makes those adjustments swiftly, and then people need to be aware of certain subtle gestures and mannerism that goes on with Bud Crawford, right? They say usually when Crawford sticks his tongue out, he was hurt. He's hurt. Well, let's see what happens and see if Spencer's able to get him to stick his tongue out at him. Let's see if he's able to do something to get Crawford to throw away the entire fight plan. Entire strategy, offensive game plan, and just start the fight. I would like to see that, but I'm not in the ring though. I would like to see it, but I'm not in the ring though. I'm not. But the Honey Badger going to tear up the so-called stronger, bigger fighter. Yeah, man. The Honey Badgers are vicious. God damn, they some vicious motherfuckers, ain't they? And they small as shit. Boy, you that goddamn tear your Achilles tendon right smack out. Both of them, too. Like, how that smart motherfucker, goddamn, I can't even go nowhere. And then that motherfucker just walk up to you and rip your nose off. Nigga, you ain't running nowhere. You ain't running no goddamn where, nigga. Your Achilles are fucked all up. I chewed the fuck out of them. You ain't running nowhere. I'm gonna sit up there and gnaw your fingers off and you can't do shit. Get the fuck away from me. Buck sit up there gnawing your damn fingers off one by one, taking his time. Hey, man. Listen. Hey, like I said before, tomorrow's the presser. It's on deck, man. Pound for pound king, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. They will link up tomorrow. They will have a little moment, the first moment in the presser to verbal spar, if that's verbal sparring. But we do need something to pop off. We're gonna see, because I'm thinking this. I'm gonna tell you ahead of time how it's gonna spark. Now I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna spark. It's gonna be Bomac or whoever over there. I don't think Bernie gonna be over there. If Bernie was over there, Bernie would start talking his shit. But it's gonna be the coaches first, man. Boom. That's gonna get it started. And then one of the fighters are gonna react to what one of the, that's how it's gonna be. I think. I just wanna, it's gonna be amazing to see the damn face off for the first time. The face off, y'all. I wanna be able to see. You know how you get rain and it was a hot day and it's rain, and then you have what's the name of this shit? You can see the motherfucking what's that motherfucking name? What's that shit, man? You can see the heat radiating off the pavement. You know what I'm saying? From the rain. It's not steam, I forgot what it is. It kind of takes you into a foggy mirage type of look. I'm, I'm just going out on a limb now. I want to see the type of energy when they first face off, because I know it's gonna be some trash talking. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be some trash talking. And I'm saying we get to see it firsthand. You know, will it be some physical activity in place? I don't know. I don't know about that, man. I think they're gonna keep their hands behind their back. Oh no, I just don't see them even having their hands behind their back, bro. I just don't see Crawford having his hands behind his back, man. Protect yourself at all times. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But that's getting ahead of myself. I'm just hoping the press conference be lit. I hope some good questions are being asked. I hope we're able to get some of the answers that we want based off what we don't know. And I'm curious to know if the fighters will even answer some of the questions if it comes down to negotiation and what happened and didn't happen. That's what I'm curious. Are they even gonna entertain it? You know what I'm saying? We got a stray in the chat. Yeah, we got a stray in the chat, man. You know what I'm saying? We got a stray in the chat. And, expect the strays to be wandering off during this period of time. You know what I'm saying? Expect the strays to be over here. And when you see them, be careful now. Be careful. Don't pet them. Don't pet them. You know what I'm saying? Just let them wander around. If they're not, acting in a strange manner, just let them come over here and enjoy, the Omaha love, man, prior to July 29th, because we're approaching 45 days remaining. You know what I'm saying? They come over here to be nosy, but they easy. You know what I'm saying? They easy. All you got to do is put that little bone out there for them. Leave a little bit of gristle on that motherfucker. Throw that little bone out there, just a little bit gristle, and let them gnaw on that motherfucker, and they'll be your best friend all the way up to the fight. Real talk. That's all you got to do, man. Just leave a little bit of damn skin, just a little bit, so they can goddamn taste that, and they're gonna be a friend for life. They're gonna be a friend for life. And then we're gonna say, hey, do us a favor. You done got a little bit too comfortable over here. I want you to go back over there to whence you came. We don't want you to get no information, but I want you to go pass the message to the rest of the strays. Stay away from WCS. We don't need y'all over here snooping around trying to take back information. It's gonna do y'all no good, because like it's always been said, like the man don't have a predictability when it comes to fighting. So it's nothing I can tell you. I don't know what the game plan gonna be. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where Bernie stay. I heard a straight ass. It would do. Is there any way you can tell me where Bernie the boxer is at? Because I know he's close to the camp. I'm just gonna walk over there in his yard, and see if he's able to feed me a little bit more information than you are. Okay, and don't take it personal. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't want to go back on that leash. Really, I'm really tired. The leash hurts. So look at the womb. Look at the womb around my neck. They had the leash tight. They had me tied to a big oak tree. I thought I can move it, but it didn't. Nothing ever happened. Damn. But do you have Bernie the boxer's address, please? I just think he'd be more willing to talk some boxing with me. No, I don't have Bernie the boxer's address. I don't. Shit, them strays are gonna be coming here trying to find out information, dog. What about Steve Nelson? Do you have his? No. Shakur Stevenson? Any of them? Any of them? Keyshawn? Any of them? Come on, man. You got to have one of them addresses. What about Jerry James? What about Bo Mack? Did they put you up to this? Are you playing both sides? So you're a double agent. Be careful about these strays, man. Bernie will release his pits on them. Hey, man, we don't want to cause no harm. We don't want people to say we was up here inciting violence. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? No, Don. You can't give them. Don't give them something that's obviously that they can smell. You want that shit to be, you know what I'm saying, odorless. That's the kind of shit we playing. Odorless. We don't want them to smell the fish and be like, oh man, they trying to set me up. That shit spoiled as fuck. No, give them something that's odorless. Let them consume it all. You know what I'm saying? And let the rest be as it is, man. But I got to roll, man. Y'all hold it down. Appreciate y'all pulling up. And remember, heavy as head who wears the crown. That's number 1 pound for pound. Bud Crawford on deck.